As you know, we are journeying through the wilderness with Jesus, as well as the memory of the people of Israel journeying through their wilderness for 40 years. And what does that mean for us, especially in this season of Lent as we approach Easter? And so in the next series of sermons, as we get into Eastertide, we are exploring this Lenten theme of the wilderness. And my hope is that you'll join us on this journey. So today, I've chosen the topic, if I can just get to work, of the way of the wilderness, how suffering, pain, and challenges create a path for growth. We visited last week how no one in their right mind actually chooses the wilderness, or at least the suffering, or the pain, or the challenges that come with it. But there is a problem sometimes in our culture in which the greatest evil that there is pain, is the feeling of discomfort. Sometimes from our memories, our traumas, our experiences, sometimes from present pain. And so many people in our world will, including possibly ourselves, will turn to things that will distract us from what bothers us, what disturbs us, what makes us feel uncomfortable. At its worst, people turn to addictions, whether it be in substance abuse of all sorts, whether it's in behaviors that are comforting to themselves and yet hurtful to either others or their own selves. People resist the wilderness. And oftentimes people cry out and say, why does God let difficult or bad things happen to me? Or to my family? Or to my friends? This is an interesting instructional today. For it is God who leads the people into the desert, Israel, so that they might worship Him and to be set free from slavery. And yet, as we see in the passage, they cry out and say, have you led us here to die? Is that what you want, Moses? In a way they're saying, is this what you want, God? Do you hate us? Forgetting that they're supposed to be free from slavery. Forgetting that they were led to worship Him. And even in the New Testament gospel reading of Jesus, before Jesus enters into the desert, into the wilderness, we hear the Father Himself saying, even as the Holy Spirit in the form of a dove alights on Him. And the words are, this is my Son whom I love, and in whom I am well pleased. And yet, into the wilderness, into the suffering, into the lack. And so these passages really, and the wilderness in itself, instructs us that God does not love us any less even though we face hardship. Even though we may face suffering or even pain. In fact, God is present, whether in a cloud by day or a pillar of fire by night, or attending by angels. Those of us who are parents have to often resist the desire to protect our children. Well, yes, if they're very small, like Sumare, we have to feed her. We have to change the diaper, or else bad things happen. Not just to her, but to us, actually. But as they grow older, we begin to allow certain risks. Like, instead of changing the diaper, we give them the chance to make it to the washroom. And that sometimes goes well, and sometimes it doesn't. And it creates, let's say, challenges and difficulties. And yet, over time, the hope is that they will learn, that they will grow. The greatest threat, however, to our children is not difficulty or challenges or pain or even suffering. I would argue the deepest and darkest evil is a heart of darkness, a heart of selfishness, a heart of faithlessness, a heart of hopelessness, a heart of emptiness. You see, the wilderness creates a space by which we may grow. And I want to illustrate this with you for a moment. If you would humor me, I'm going to invite you to stand up. Yep, stand up where you are. And as we were setting up the chairs, we were hoping that we made enough room for you between the chairs to do a particular physical exercise. It is the squat. I don't know if you have squatted recently, but this is how it's done. Yes, Gregory's already demonstrated a little bit. But what you simply do is you go down, you stick your butt out the back, and you go down as far as you can and stand up again. So let's do that together. One squat. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Down and up. Okay, second time. Ready? You're getting the hang of it. Here we go again. 1 down and 3 up. Great. One more, just to make sure you got good form. Here we go. Go down and up. Fantastic. Have a seat. Very simple illustration. But I will give you a promise. If you do that 10 times a day, by the end of the week, you will be stronger. It's not a mystery. In fact, doing 10 times might be going, I'm getting bored. I want to do 20. And then if you're really crazy, you're going to keep on upping that. But I'll tell you this, that if you keep on doing this, you will become stronger. Your legs will become stronger. Your core will become stronger. Your balance will improve if you're keeping the right form and all this other stuff. You will be transformed. But I also promise you this. If you haven't done squats for a while, and you're doing a lot of them, at the beginning, it's going to hurt. Not right away. Like, you're probably doing okay after the 3. But you start doing the 10. You start doing the 20. The next day, or the day after, you're going to be sore getting out of bed. You might not even be able to get out of bed. It gets that bad. Because anytime you exercise, you know it's going to hurt. They don't tell you that. They go, I want you to have a summer-ready body, or whatever that is. Or I want you to at least be fit. Get your exercise in. You'll grow. You'll become better. Your body will be more resilient. You'll be able to handle things that you didn't handle before. You'll become stronger in many different ways. But it will hurt. The 2 promises of exercise. You become stronger. It will hurt. Welcome to the wilderness. For in this space, we're not just talking about physical issues. We're talking about how we might exercise our souls, our hearts, our minds, our beings, so that they become stronger. So that we do not fall into that space of that dark heart, but a full heart and a strong heart. And so whatever exercises you might be thinking of doing, know that part of the growth trajectory is difficulty, challenges. and pain. Now, you might get to choose to exercise or not. That's up to you. But as we said, sometimes the circumstances that life throws at us, we don't choose. The wilderness experiences tend to choose us. But there are certain things we do choose. If you choose to say hello to someone, you are in that choice making the understanding that you will one day, or even after that meeting, say goodbye. When you make a friend, when you have a child, simply living life because we have parents. The things that happen in life have beginnings and ends. And the way that we enter and the way that we exit are not often chosen by us. But as we experience them, we learn and we grow to say hello or to say goodbye. How well do you do in saying hello? My hope is that we learn to be, as missional people in our world, be engaging with people. Now, I'm not asking you to become an extrovert if you're an introvert. You need to recharge and be quiet in your space if that's where you're at. And if you are an extrovert and like to say hello to everybody, do make sure that you have time by yourself too, right? We want to balance these things out. But we make these choices, and they actually have an effect on what it is we do and how. And more important than just saying hello and conducting relationships, including our relationship with God, at least with our human relationships or our relationships on earth, we have to experience goodbyes. When people move away, when we leave school, when we go through a transition, we say goodbye to family or friends, or even through death itself, knowing that it might be only a temporary goodbye in this life. How we handle these wilderness experiences can grow us. I love this saying by Booker T. Washington, and he says this about difficulties. No one should be pitied because every day of their life they face a hard, stubborn problem. It is the one who has no problems to solve, no hardships to face, who is to be pitied. They have nothing in their life which will strengthen and form their character, nothing to call forth their latent power and deepen and widen their hold on life. And I've chosen this image of, a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis. Because it starts out life as a worm, I guess, as a caterpillar. And then it spins this cocoon. And then it's stuck in there, in this cocoon. And to the casual observer, one might say, wow, this caterpillar is really struggling. This creature's struggling to get out of this cocoon. And sometimes we might be tempted to say, let me just open it up because I can do it. I'll just open it up for them, and then the butterfly will be out, and then it'll be beautiful. Everything will be sunshine and rainbows and everything else. But to the not-so-casual observer, to your biologist, or is it an entomologist or something like this? Yes, I got a nod from our nematodes expert. A butterfly needs to struggle to get out of the cocoon to develop its strength. And when it does emerge, it'll dry off and it's going to be able to fly. All of these images of the wilderness, all of these images of struggle, they are meant to shape us. It is not to harm us. Even the pains that we might suffer now, or the challenges that you have, whether it's internal, external, circumstantial, no matter how they weigh heavy on you, they're meant to make you strong. And so you have these rocks on the chair. This is your rock. I don't know what your rock is. They're all different sizes and shapes, just like the different challenges we face in our own lives, whether they be grief, whether they be difficulties, whether they be emotional or practical, financial. I don't know what burden it is you're carrying, what wilderness you're in. But it is not meant to destroy you. As we walk with God, as we walk with each other, these stones in our shoe, if they're just a pebble, or these stones, these giant rocks, these boulders we carry, are meant to make us stronger. It's about how we handle them. It's about what we do with them, the wisdom that we gain through the Holy Spirit. You see, these boulders can crush us, can destroy us, can drive us to have that dark heart. But that is not what God's intention is as He calls us out of the wilderness, out of slavery, into a space where we see who we truly are and where He desires to be with us without distractions. Sometimes the pain is so great that we become blind or deaf to God. And He understands that. Our world often asks, where is God? And we might ask, where is God in my suffering? But as we settle, we begin to hear, even in the pain that we might feel, or the suffering or challenges we're in, you are my child, whom I love. In you I am well pleased. And as Jesus says to us, come and follow me. The temptation Jesus faced was this: to turn the stones into bread. My hope is that we will let the stones be stones. That we will let them make us strong, faithful, resilient, and hopeful. And in the following time, through the exercise, my hope is that you will allow the Spirit to lead you into whatever wilderness you're feeling. And perhaps if you don't have one that's very present to you, allow the Spirit to lead you there. And so I'm going to hand the time to Anna to lead us in this exercise.